Welcome back. I'm Connie Sokol, your host, and it is a thrill for me to talk with our guest today because we are going to be talking about spiritual nudges. We're going to be talking about this purpose path in this purpose path series that I'm offering to help you to know how to move forward and fulfill that purpose that you're feeling called to do. And so today we're going to talk about spiritual nudges with my guest, Stacy Beck. Hi, Stacy. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Connie. It's so fun to be here. Thank you.
But just even before we started, I'm so giddy I can hardly stand it because the very path that she has taken is so reflective of so many women's paths. It's not an A plus B equals C. You know, I talk about this all the time. It's not that simple formula. It's a quadratic equation. It's just all over the place, it feels. And yet he's leading us along clearly to a promised land of his understanding. And that's what we want to talk about, enjoying the journey and not being afraid of what's ahead or if you're doing it wrong, but being able to move forward with confidence and clarity. And how do we do that when we're in the midst of the unknown? So rather than read her official bio and share that with you, I want to let this bio unfold today because as she was sharing her story with me, I thought, oh, who would have guessed? Who would have known? So let's just jump right in, Stacy. You're just going along, you're doing life, you're a lovely, beautiful woman inside and out, but you're going along and you're doing your life. Tell us how this kind of started. You married your junior high sweetheart, right? You met in junior high.
Yep.
And then met and you knew each other, then got married, you end up having 4 children. So you're a stay-at-home mom for how long?
About 15 years. And I kind of always had like a little side hustle just to get my creative outlet going or go out at night and do little, like small little things. But then when my baby, my youngest of 4, was entering, I think it was 1st grade, I got a job offer. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I only want to do it part-time because I thought it's still super important for me to be home every day at 2:30. And I want Fridays off. Who wants to work on Fridays? So that's been my mantra my whole time is I've always taken Fridays off. So I started down that path and it was so funny because one of my dear friends at the time said, Stacy, this job is going to open doors that you can't even imagine. And at the time I thought, right, it's a part-time job. It's not going to open any doors. So the path led me is I thought, I was in sales. I actually work at Utah Valley Magazine. You can all see that Connie was on the cover right there. And
it was not a shameless plug originally. I usually keep this on here, I promise, but I thought I'll leave it up today. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I work there and I do sales. And so I thought, wow, I will join our local Chamber of Commerce so I can meet more people. And I'm naturally, I think, service oriented, but I will say for this, it was not service driven. It was 100%, I want to make more money. I need to meet more people, right? So I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I start going to ribbon cuttings. They're like, you should be on our board. What does that mean? Oh, that's just a meeting once a month. Okay, I can do that. 4 years later, why don't you run for president of the Chamber of Commerce? That's only one more meeting, or so they say. So I'm president of the Chamber of Commerce. Mind you, now I'm about 6 years in when I'm serving as president. And I think I was like drill team head mom, planning all that stuff, planning a wedding. I started getting these nudges, and women need nudges. I've come to find out, hey, you can do this. You have a couple of people saying, have you thought about running for city council? Hey, Stacy, I think you would be really good serving on city council. And I really got those 3 nudges. Looking at it at the time, it was hands down, I think, one of the scariest things I've ever chosen to do.
And why? What was so scary about it?
So several things. 100% you're vulnerable. You're in the public eye. And then I think men will say, I can totally do it. And they might be like 80% qualified. Women will think, oh, I probably can't do it. I'm only 80% qualified. We think of, oh, I can't do this. I don't have this. What about my family? But I think one of the time was perfect for me. 2 of my kids were already out of the house. The other 2 were in high school. I could feel this shift in life where I have more time. I can give more. And so I felt like I can totally do this, but I was scared to death. Meet the candidates night where you're interviewed on our local TV program and people can ask you questions. I was not going to run because of that one thing. Scared me to death.
Was it
So
because
those
not
are
knowing if you knew the answer or what they might
right.
ask?
Yeah, you don't want to look like an idiot or not qualified, and that scared me. And I was up there just sweating. Ooh, and I got through, and I'm like, okay, being on city council after campaigning and doing the Meet the Candidates night, being on city council is a breeze.
Breeze, piece of cake. You know what? I love your vulnerability. And I want to go back for a second because I love the things that you shared where you said women need nudges. Now remember, she's running for city council. And I love that you said that because are you familiar with Susan Madsen? And
yes, that's where I got it.
yes. And she says in her studies that women need about 3 taps on the shoulder is what she calls it. And you're exactly right. I have seen this where we get I call it the rumble or a divine download. We get this we feel called to do something, but we're like, no, not me, right? It's a Moses kind of complex. Like, no, not me, right? Or you're like, oh no, I'm slow of speech. Like, don't ask me. And then we get another nudge and another nudge. And 2 or 3 nudges later, we're starting to see a pattern. And we go, wait a second, I think there's more to this. And then that's when the fears come in, right? But I love that you locked into something. And I was just talking to a gal the other day. She wanted to move forward, but she was afraid. And I said, I know your personality. You're going to have to lock into something that will make you stay committed because otherwise you're going to want to run because it's going to be so scary. So I love that you shared this one piece. And usually we get that, right? Don't you find like this Meet the Candidates or whatever it might be, being PTA president or starting your own business? It's this one piece that we're like, I can do anything but that.
Right.
But once we face that down, then just like you said, the other stuff is like, I got this until you up level the next level, right? So
exactly.
What did you learn by being on city council? Because studies also show that women coming into the workforce or political arena or whatever, if they are moms, they actually are better prepared than they think because they've really learned a lot of skills.
Oh,
a mom that transferred. So what did you find?
Connie, hands down, being a mom, like people, now they're social media. When I was raising my kids, there wasn't social media. They'll be like, oh, you're so busy. And I said, well, social media makes me look busy. But can I tell you, raising 4 kids, that was the busiest thing I've ever done. You are juggling so many different schedules, dining, eating, PTA, school mom, diapers, naps. There's so many things. Now my kids are grown and I just have my schedule. So I think motherhood prepares you for everything. I also think being a member of my faith has helped me because it has offered different leadership opportunities where I have had the chance to grow, where I've learned leadership skills through different programs, either teaching or leading the youth or studying things out on my own. I attribute my faith and my church a lot of that too in the preparation.
You are spot on. And they see this in studies and also in women's experiences that you are spot on. We don't realize in whatever faith, those that are listening, whatever faith, your belief system is, those opportunities to reach out, to stand up, to communicate, to articulate your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and do it on the spot often, right? And in ways that are uncomfortable because in different belief systems, you're asked to do things you don't really aspire to do or even want to do, okay? But you learn to do them. And I love that. I love you said that your faith prepares you for that leadership. And I think, again, women underestimate how they're going to use those skills in other arenas with the business and the political and being able to realize you've been doing this from nigh on a young age. I remember talking with someone and saying, while I was raising my kids, I was in the thick of it. And I said, I'm so sad that I don't get to go to all these conferences that my friends are going to because they're learning how to speak and how to do all that. And I'm just having faith in God. And then the comment came back, but you read all the conference talks from your church. So you're learning how to speak by reading all of these talks. And I went, mind blow. I went, you're exactly right. I was learning exactly how to do what I wanted to do. So I love this. What were some of the obstacles that came your way that you really had to overcome besides the fear and things like that? What were maybe some of I know women out there want to pursue a path, but there's logistical things. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the support. I don't have these things. What were the obstacles that you had to face down that you were like?
The obstacles, I feel extremely blessed. And I think that's one of the reasons I chose to do the hard thing. I think, why not me? Oftentimes, why should I not do it? My kids are older. I remember being in my 20s and hearing people say, be committed to your community, serve. And I had 4 kids. I was like, how the heck do you expect me to serve anywhere but inside my 4 walls right now? And that stuck with me for years. And so when I reached this next phase of life, I thought, okay, now's my time. In 10 years, I might be full on grandma mode and not want to do it, but right now's my time. So I think I had that, and I have a super supportive husband that encouraged me and supported me. Campaigning, though, takes several $1,000s if you want to do it right. So you have to go out and tell people why they should vote for you, and then ask them for money. That is so uncomfortable. I can go sell ads for Utah Valley Magazine to anyone, because it's not promoting myself, it's promoting a business or a brand or helping promote their business. But to say, oh, you would vote for me, well then could you give me $5 or $100, or would 300 work? Like that is tough. And anyone going into politics that doesn't have a little bit of edge to ask for the sell, that can be probably one of the scariest pieces.
I love it. And that is so huge for women, especially the book Women Don't Ask. It talked about, because women don't ask, they almost miss out, especially in a business setting. They miss out on anywhere from $350,000 to, I think it was $700,000 in their lifetime, because they don't ask for raises. They don't ask for what they're actually due. And someone's like, well, if she's not going to ask, I'm not giving it to them. So this principle and this skill, this life skill, and I love that we can learn from men. They do not take it personally or make it personal. They're like, hey, yeah, I'm totally worth this. So, and you know what? The job I'm going to do is going to be incredible. So you for sure want to support me, because I'm going to do it. I love that you learned that. How has this translated into who you are as a woman, wife, and mother? These things that you've been learning as you've been going along.
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I read Sheryl Sandberg's book.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a good visual for me, because usually I'm the only woman currently on city council, and all of the department directors are men. So I'm usually in a room of 15 plus men, and I'm the only woman. And in her book, she said, women, when you walk into a room and there's a table, have you read this? You walk in, and she would sit in the corner. And someone said, no, Sheryl, you always sit at the table. And so I've taken that in. I'm like, okay, I go in and I sit at the table. And the first little bit, I went in and listened and learned. But then after I started working on those relationships, and then they listened to me. And I feel I need to give them credit, because I feel comfortable and confident in offering my opinions as well. I feel like it's a safe space. I think a great example is we have a pool here in our town that's getting tore out because a high school is being built there. So that swimming pool needs to go out, and we don't have the funding to build a new one immediately. So we're like, do we close it this year or next year? And everyone in the room pretty much said, let's just close it this year, because next year it would be surrounded by construction, and nobody wants that. And I said, whoa. As a stay-at-home mother in the summer, I would take my kids to the pool oftentimes 2 to 3 times a week, just to keep my sanity, to get the kids out to swim. That was crucial. For me to walk by a fence with a construction sign, that is a no-brainer. It changed the whole vote. We're keeping the pool open an entire year. And one of the other councilmen were like, you know what? My wife takes our kids to the pool all the time. If we can squeeze one more year out of a swimming pool. I mean, and to me, that was like such a little thing. I spoke up. I said, no, this is why. And it was because of my mom experience.
Oh my gosh, I've just got goosebumps up and down my arm. And the significant impact of that, I think all women listening are like, hello, yes, that is the safe space for us in our sanity space in the summer. Oh my gosh, that is what a beautiful example. I love that you spoke up, and I love how you did that. And I love how you attribute their kindness and their openness to receive hearing from a woman as well, because I think there's a lot of men out there who are wonderful, who totally like want to hear women's opinions, don't think twice about it. But there's also this group of men that there's a transition of, between the older school and the younger school, and haven't quite negotiated that yet and know how to do that. So I love that there's this win-win between the two of you of you're gently easing in and you're not like a Mack truck, and they're being able to openly receive and listen and do this win-win kind of give and take of being able to listen and think and go with it. Change a vote. That's a huge thing for any human being, to change their mind once you're pretty set on something.
Right.
I love it. And I want to pause for a second on this sit at the table, because I love this concept. I have to say, honestly, I didn't love everything about her book, but I love this concept. And I actually put that into practice. I do some stuff with BYU Management Society, and I had just started. And just that same thing, I walked in and I was late, and it was a long room. It wasn't wide, it was long. And I didn't see any place to sit except for very up at the top. So I scooted in right before they started, sat down, didn't realize until after it was going that I was at the VIP table. I'm like, oh no. So I'm sitting next to Kalani Sataki and, the Attorney General and his wife. And I'm like, oh my heck, I'm doing the wrong thing, right? Because this is what we women think, doing the wrong thing.
Right.
And I had this feeling, this download of this day, no harm, no foul, right? And I ended up having the most beautiful experience, and it taught me, whatever table there is, just that feels right, just go sit at the table. You're just do the best you can. And don't, like you said, with men, studies do show that they think they are more qualified than they are, and women think that they're less qualified than they actually are. Go with your gut. So have there been any experiences that have been really life-shifting for you in this tenure that you've had with this kind of unexpected path with these spiritual nudges? Has there been any standout experiences that you've had that have said to you, wow, this gave me this growth or the experience that I really needed to up level, to go to this next level that I didn't know that I needed to do? Is there any kind of experience that stands out that you're like, ooh?
Yeah, absolutely. Being on the Chamber of Commerce, for example, when you go to a ribbon cutting or a business of the month, as president, you are filmed interviewing that business owner. And that was always nerve-wracking. I just winged it. It's just because I like to talk to people and I have no experience. And so I would mess up and they would have to do retakes, and you basically get 3 years of practice. And so then I'm on city council, and then I get asked by our city has its own community network and TV show. And right when I was elected to serve on city council, someone came to me from the network and said, hey, we want to start a little talk show. And we would have 3 women co-hosts, and we really want to focus on women in the community and supporting businesses and just listening to stories. And Connie, I would not have dared do that if it wasn't for my experience. And it was years. It wasn't just a one-time thing on the Chamber of Commerce. It was fear, meeting with, like the CEO of Walmart, interviewing them on their ribbon cutting, and small town business owners, and just people with the CEOs of companies. I'm meeting with them and talking to them. So then when I was asked to do this talk show, then I felt I'm totally on board. That sounds like the fun piece of life. So we've been doing that now for 4 years, where I get to meet people like you. Connie, you've come in and you just like such a light every time you come in, and then you leave and we just sit and talk about Connie. You walk out of a room, you leave, and everyone feels better because you were in it. And so just the wonderful people I've been able to meet. That's been a highlight.
Speaking of a safe space, I love being on that set. It's just camaraderie and connection and really wanting to help and make a difference. And I just love it. And I see that thread running through all that you're doing and have been led to do. And I see that, generally speaking, with women, that we naturally seek to do good. And I think that's for women listening, to consider that in your heart. If you're feeling compelled or feeling called to do something, and ask yourself, does it lead me to do good? Would it lead to do good despite my fears? Because I look at all the good that you have done all the way along. Your feminine influence, and I talk a lot about this, of the masculine influence and the feminine influence, and we need both. But we're really seeing this upswell of feminine influence right now to sort of balance the force, right, of this heavy masculine influence, and we need both. But I see it. And so women are feeling in droves to feel called to do different things. So I love this. I would love to know from here. I look at all the good that you have done. I love this stair step. I call it the Joseph of Egypt principle, where he's going from here to here to here, and he can't
Okay.
really see how it's connected, right? But it's leading him along to keep having this good influence. Where would you love to be influential from here? What are some things that your heart is calling you and saying, I hope I can make a difference here, or my heart is so passionate right now about this. I hope swimming pool staying open, right? So what is something that you're feeling like I really want to try to have some influence, positive influence in this arena?
Connie, what if I tell you I have no idea right now?
I love it.
Absolutely none. Like if 6 years ago you would have said, you'll be on city council, I would have been, oh, I don't see that. A talk show? No way. That's what's so crazy about this. I'm doing things I never dreamed of doing, but my life has led me there. So I've even like, I turn 50 this upcoming year. I don't know what my decade will, I don't even know what it looks like. I don't foresee doing more politics. I've had people say, oh, are you going to do mayor, or are you going to do, House representative or the Senate? And I honestly don't have that desire. I didn't run for city council because I was political. I ran for city council because I love our community and I felt the timing was right and that I had something to offer. So the aspirations for bigger political experiences aren't there. So it's so crazy to think 10 years ago, I would have never seen what my 40s would have been. I don't know what my 50s are looking like, but I'll keep moving forward. I think the key is when we are offered things that are going to make us step out of our comfort zone and be courageous, I do believe I need to continue taking those steps. So I'm just learning and growing. And I'm also at a stage of life, if my next step is being with my grandkids more and breathing a little more, I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with that stage as well.
I love it. Oh, my heart is just soaring. And I can tell you from personal experience, there's a reason why we call it fabulous 50s. Okay. I do anyway. I have loved my 50s. And there's just this, if you take 40s and magnify it by 10, literally, because it is that you have this ability and life wisdom and family and love and all of these things you've worked so hard for your whole life. And now it's just a full picture that you can just give. And it's just so joyful. I love that you don't know what's ahead and you're embracing it. And that's something I want listeners to understand. I wish if you're not watching this visually, her smile is just lighting up. And I love that she's in her kitchen. We call this kitchen table wisdom with the side of humor. And I love because you're at home. You're at home in your home. You're at home with city council. You're at home with yourself. And I really feel strong as I interview lots of different women. The ones that are the most self-confident, the ones that are the happiest, are the ones who are most at home in their own skin and their own value system and their own beliefs, and they're confident in the choices that they've made and that they're making. And I love how your faith and all of those things have prepared you to do this. So kind of wrapping up, I'm going to give a little, synopsis in a second, but is there anything for women out there who are thinking, I am feeling called to do something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm feeling really scared. And I have all of these things that are making me doubt. Is there any piece of advice or counsel that you would give to them?
The one thing is just start walking down that path. You may go down a path that may be a decade of joy and service or work or something, but you may only take a couple steps forward and realize this isn't what I want. And then you can backtrack and go down another path. And that's okay. Success is, like you said, it's not just a linear line. It's a little bit all over the place. Don't be afraid to go a little bit all over the place. Nobody's judging. We just need to have the faith and the courage to do it.
Oh, I love that. Don't be afraid to go a little bit all over the place. Oh my gosh, give ourselves grace. And I want to make this point because I love that you brought it up. Especially we see with men's lives, it's fairly linear. They work, they're going to do and provide, and generally speaking, okay. But women, there's depth and breadth, and there's variables and options, and so many different ways that we can go about it. And instead of being afraid of that, embracing and celebrating that, right? Haven't you felt that has given you freedom to choose and do what you desire or what God desires you to do?
It's unbelievable. It's just like such a blessing. I think we're so lucky. And I think my internal voice always says, where much is given, much is expected. I have help, I have support. If I have those things, how can I justify not doing something? And it's not like running yourself ragged and going until you can't walk anymore, but you can take those steps to further your life, and whether it's your education, your career, your aspirations, we can all take those little steps forward.
I love it. And I love that you make the point of you don't have to know the end from the beginning. Take a couple
Mhm.
of steps. Just try a few steps. I love that Jeffrey R. Holland video where him and his son are in the truck and they're between two paths in the desert and they both pray and feel good about taking the right path. So they go, and about 300 feet later, I'm paraphrasing, but it stops, it's a dead end. So they back up and go down the other one. He's like, Dad, why did we both feel good about that path? And this has served me so well. He said, son, maybe it was that God wanted us to know for a surety that the path we're on now is the right path. And that has served me so much. So a few steps, even when it seems like a bit of a mistake, that there's purpose in that too. And
100%.
go down the other one and know for a surety, this is the one. This is the one.
Oh, Connie, you're such a joy to be with.
Oh, I could sit here and talk to you
Oh,
for like 2 more hours and be in pajamas, I wish. And I'm sure the women listening are thinking the same thing. If they want more of Stacy, which we all want more of,
oh,
what would be the best way to reach you and get more?
geez. You feel free to contact me at stacy@uvmag.com or Studio Chatter. Studio Chatter is on YouTube, and it's just a community network where 3 of us, and you'll see Connie every now and again as well, where we're just talking to women really similar to the same thing, how they are where they are, what they're doing, how we can support each other, listen to their stories, and just grow and learn from one another. So thank you, Connie.
Love it. And I love being on Studio Chatter. I love the stuff that you do on Studio Chatter. It's so community feeling. It's so connected. It's lovely. So check it out. They've got lots of great episodes. Just for those that have joined us maybe a little bit later, I'm just going to recap a couple of things really quickly with Stacy Beck, our beautiful guest today, that she started out with that solid focus of being a mother, woman, wife, mother, and she was really clear about that. And then the unexpected began. She set those healthy boundaries. I want to only work part-time, don't want to work Fridays. And then from Utah Valley Mag Sales to Chamber of Commerce to being in city council to be president, all of these different unexpected steps. I love it. She says, women need nudges. Motherhood prepares you for what's ahead and for leadership. Your faith prepares you for leadership. Why not me? And then learn to ask, start walking, and don't be afraid to go a little all over the place. Absolutely love those quotables. We need them on vinyl lettering on the wall. I'm kidding. My kids tease me about that. I don't have any, but it sure belongs in a pillow for sure. Ladies,
Oh,
I'm so glad
thank
you
you.
joined me today for Sweet Stacy. And Stacy, thank you so much for sharing your heart and life wisdom with us today. Thank you so much. And as always, if you like what this is, you go below, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you want any of my freebies, Find Your Purpose Challenge, the Joy Challenge, my programs, my retreats, if you want to be a disciple thought leader and be able to be focused on sharing your message in a way that involves him, then check out all those things at conniesokol.com. And as always, great job in taking your next step to living a purpose-filled life.